This nation is called the United States of America, and unlike many other countries, its name was deliberately chosen. France, for example, comes from the Latin word Francia, land of the Franks, but it wasn't chosen by a committee of Frenchmen, it simply stuck over the centuries. The question is, who named the United States, why was that name selected, and what were the alternatives? So, prior to the American Revolution, these lands were known to the British as British North America, or simply the Colonies, and the officials that lived there often used the name the United Colonies of North America. The name America, in case you're wondering, had been a commonly used term for a couple of centuries by this point and was derived from Amerigo Vespucci, an early explorer. This, along with the rarer Columbia, named for Christopher Columbus, was used to describe the entire landmass though, and not just the British colonies there. When tensions started to rise, people began to use different terms to describe the 13 colonies. When the American Revolution broke out, it was Thomas Jefferson who first used the term United States of America, and its use was formalised by John Hancock and the Continental Congress in late 1776. Colloquially, United States and American states were frequently used by citizens, and it's one of the reasons why the name took hold. This didn't mean that the name was fixed though. When dealing with the French, Benjamin Franklin used the term United States of North America, and when peace was made with the British, they did so under the name the United States. So that settled them, right? Well, no. There were some in the new USA that didn't like the name and wished to change it to something less descriptive and more poetic. The number one alternative proposed was Columbia, and whilst this was the most popular alternative, many were simply used to calling the country the United States by now, and so felt that there was no need to change anything. By the time that the US Constitution was drafted, the United States was kept as the nation's name. Or more specifically, the alternatives weren't properly discussed. In 1819, though, the opportunity was lost forever since another country took the name Columbia. But by this point, another contender had arrived, and that name was Fredonia, which was derived from the word freedom and made to sound a little bit Latin-y to give it some weight. And the man who coined this name was Samuel Latham Mitchell. Mitchell felt that the name United States was a boring one that didn't promote an idea of national identity, since no one was going to call themselves United Statesians, whereas people from Fredonia could call themselves Fredonians, Freeds, or the Friedish. Now, Fredonia gained some traction with some of the senators who supported the renaming of the nation. However, Mitchell's new name stalled before it could get anywhere because it became a term of mockery for the overly patriotic. And it was with this that the last alternative to United States died forever. And in the end, the name for the United States was chosen in haste. It simply being a change from the United Colonies that the people who'd lived there had known them as their entire lives, and its position was solidified by early diplomatic use. Whilst alternatives to United States such as Columbia and Fredonia were discussed, the old name had stuck and there was no real desire to change it, especially after Columbia was taken. The United States wasn't the poetic name that many had wanted, but it was ultimately the most reflective of the country's birth, and after the Civil War it took on a much greater weight than anyone had anticipated. I hope you enjoyed this episode and thank you for watching, with thanks to my Patreon supporters whom you can see on screen now. And with an extra special thanks to James Bisonet, Ike, Danny Maloney, Colin Castleman, Marvin Cassow, Rob Waterhouse, Aaron the White, Jordan Longley, Chris Wicker, Gustav Swan, Gareth Turner, Marcus Arsner, Maggie Paxkowski, David Silverman, Spinning Three Plates, Spencer Lightfoot, Lexi Schwinn, Winston Kaywood, Kelly Moneymaker, Anthony Beckett, The Original Cage, Robert Wetzel, Sky Chappelle, Parshu19, and Mo.